Hello, good evening and welcome to Business Focus, your most authoritative business and economic analysis program live here on TV3. My name is Parkwesi Asare. It's the first Monday of the month of May and we're glad to start the month with you. My name is Parkwesi Asare. Thank you very much for your time tonight. We discuss pressing issues that concern the operations of the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company, as well as International Monetary Fund stance on Ghana's Sino-Hydro deal. But first, let's take summaries of news making headlines around the world. All right, so you're welcome back to Business Focus, your most authoritative business and economic analysis program live here on TV3. Before we delve into the subject for tonight, let's take a few tips on how to plan your expenditure as an entrepreneur. All right, so you're welcome back to Business Focus live here on TV3. So this program is your most authoritative business and economic analysis program. Tonight, we want to talk about the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company. The company has lamented a staggering $2 million loss per month as a result of transmission hiccups. The company says it is consequently rehabilitating its river vessels to pave the way for the resumption of the transportation of petroleum products by water effective July 1, 2019. Well, this among one other key issue from the basis of our discussions tonight. The following report has more. So before we delve into that report, let me quickly introduce our studio guests to you. We've got one of the biggest oil transporters in Ghana today, J.K. Hogley. He's the chairman of the Hogley Group of Companies. He's here with us tonight. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Great. And Kojo Poku is also an energy analyst. Kojo, thank you also for joining us in studio. So let's take that report and then we'll come back. I'll start off with Mr. Hogley, who has a lot of deep understanding into the workings of BOST, and he knows exactly what this issue is about. Okay, so we'll start off before the report comes. Mr. Hogley, so I'm sure you've heard the report. It's made headlines throughout the day, a lot of people talking about it. What's your own initial reaction to the report when you saw it, first of all?
Okay, my own reaction to the report when I read it, I paused for time and I thought of what has happened.
What did you read?
I read on a website that BOST is losing $2 million every month, and I thought because I was there, we closed a meeting before the interview happened, so we were there, and so I said, this is not what I heard. So I stood up and I I thought of it and I asked a few friends. We all there, well, what did we hear this? And it was surprising to me because in our industry, 100% we are covered with security over losses. So nobody can claim, nobody in this, up to now in Ghana here, nobody can say that a transporter has stolen his product and he has not paid. And the security bounds the job. The contract is covered fully with security recovery. So any losses is recovered before the next business you start it. So 2 million loss, and who did it? So I was asking few friends, it is a damage to our business, actually. So we said, I found that it's not true. I got again, I said, this is not what was said.
So what is the clarification then?
Well, what was said at the meeting was that since he came, George came, let me go this way. Since George came, a lot of people were saying they were not having jobs, a lot of complaints. So he managed to bring all the transporters to one meeting and said that 3 times now we had this meeting. Every 4 months, 3 months we have a meeting to see the way forward. And what happened was that all the report that he was collecting, were deliberating and working on it. And it's not a one-day job. So we work on it. So it came to that all the transporters have to register now because there were transporters who were not transporters. They were paper transporters. They were just holding paper as transporters. So they said, okay, let the transporter register and have a document. You will find out where you're located because the product we carry is a huge money. If they give you 10 trips to carry, you are carrying around 2 million plus cedis. And when the transporter run away, and the insurance for you to pay, who get it? So that security is to locate you where you are. If you're in Kumasi, you're in Tamale, you're at Takoradi, you're in Accra, your location must be there. And when we started that project, people are now coming out. The red transporters are not showing. First, then they thought that they cannot break in there, so they find another way of joining other people, those people who are joining other groups. We had a third meeting this week, I think like 3 weeks ago, last month. Then we said, at a meeting, we said, are we certified? The question is, are we certified with the job? All of us are sharing the job now. Now, idea is not his only idea. We bring an idea, he also brings it, we put together. If something is wrong, we need to say it. So all the transporters agreed at a meeting that this is the way forward. Everybody approved it. Kumasi, Tamale, Accra, Takoradi, all came together at a meeting. So after the meeting, there was an interview. Well, the interview, what I heard him say was that because we are doing the bus transport by road, the PDF, the money there is for bulk, a big bulk, like ship transport.
What's a PDF?
Yeah, that is the rate for calculating the vessels. And the vessels, they take it in number of volume. They carry in big quantities. We, the transporters, carry in 50,000s. So the smallest you carry, the expenditure is more. They carry more on the vessel on water. The price is just about 1/3 of it. But it's not all the time it will rain. So when the rain set up, then the vehicle will come in. So he took all the up and the down, and then we strike the average. Now, if the trucks are carrying it, it's also different price. So we cannot be paying the vessel to the truck. So you prefer to use the vessel, and then when the truck is needed, you use the truck. By doing that, you will save the money they are paying to us, will be a savings to bus. Then it can also be a savings downwards, even to reduce the petrol price. Because the more your service you are doing, the more that you have to release the public from paying high price. So this was it. So when you say savings, it means that in other contexts, somebody will hear that, then you are losing money somewhere.
Okay, if you're not saving,
then you are losing money somewhere.
Right.
But it's not a real losing money that you are losing, because he was trying to create a way down that lets the transport unit the vessel do the job, but automatically the vessel cannot do all. Even the pipelines from just Tema to Akosombo, there's a problem on it. It's all rotten, and they are trying to work on it. So at the last point, you use the last machine, which is the vehicle. So it will cost you more. But when you bring these ones in, then the price will go down. Then I'll save more.
Thank you for the clarification. But I'm not sure you want to suggest that all is well with BOST and its operations. Is that so?
Well, you see, in every situation, any new person that comes has some challenges. Even your own house, when you go out to come back, you have some challenges.
I'll come back to you on what those challenges are and what we can do moving forward.
Yes.
Kojo, you've heard him. He sought to clarify the news reports that we all thought was, but doesn't it make logical sense that if you're not saving this amount of money, you probably are losing?
Well, you have to understand the operations of BOST a little bit. You see, what BOST does, BOST moves product from depot to depot. So the PDF that my brother mentions is for the margin which is paid for transporters to move product from one depot to another depot.
Right.
So if you are asked to move, let's say from Accra to Bupe, you are paid a certain, the petroleum prices that we pay, there's a margin in there, which is the PDF margin, which is paid to the transporters who move these products from depot to depot. Now, what the MD of BOST, from the explanation my brother is giving, is to say that if you use a car, a truck, a BRV van, to now truck it from Accra or Takoradi or Tema to Bupe, it will cost you more than if you use the Akosombo, the vessel which they use, the barges, to transport these products. So he's thinking that, okay, two things. We either use the barges of the Akosombo and it will cost us less, or if we have a pipeline laid from Tema to Bupe, then it would also cost us less. So that is where they say that I am losing this much in transmission if alternatively I'm to have the pipeline or the Akosombo barges working, then he will make those savings. But for me, when it comes to BOST, it is not really my problem. My problem is not with the transportation or transmission, so be it. Like what my big brother is saying, there are insurance and there are acceptable margins, which if a product is moved from one point to another and it's less that margin, the transporter is made to pay. My biggest problem at BOST is with the level of evaporation, which they claim exists. There was a committee that was set up, and in that committee, there was other companies who run tank farms, like Cyrus and the Chase and old Trafigura, which is Puma. They were asked to come and testify in front of the committee. And their acceptable margins of evaporation is way, way, way lower than what is at BOST. BOST is running somewhere around 17% in evaporation, where the acceptable margins within some companies are less than 1%. So we have...
What does that mean?
What it means is that, okay, the point in question which the committee was asked to tax was the contaminated fuel, which all we had our federal being got into trouble for.
Right.
When the committee went to inspect it, it has reduced drastically. And the excuse was that it has evaporated. So what they are trying to say is that when you check the tanks, the product that sits in the tanks, over a period of time, in their accounting and their reporting, they now account about 17% less that it has evaporated. And other companies that are doing the same thing, like Chase, Trafigura, or Puma, are recording around 1%, even less than 1% losses in evaporation. So why is it that we have one company, BOST, who has tanks, and is the same sun which shines in Cyrus and Trafigura and all these companies, the same sun shines in BOST.
What is your
They
suspicion?
are getting, well, there's problems at BOST. I think Mr. Oakley needs to sit up and delve deep down into the problems. We all know all the challenges at BOST. Alfred Obin had his problems. Wadako had those problems, and now Oakley hasn't had the problem because maybe he's not challenging the people there enough.
We should move away from the manual.
Which of the manual?
Manual operations.
Well, I don't think a lot of the operations there are manual. But then let me add something. That these tank farms are managed by a different company. So it's under management. So even as my big brother is saying that if they move product from point A to point B and there are losses, then they are made to pay for it. Why is it that these tanks are being operated by a management company, and if there are losses, they are not made to pay for it? These are some of the challenges I have at BOST. So I think there is some level of cartel at BOST. Government needs to sit up and delve into it and smash some of these cartels.
And I'm sure you're referring to the recommendations made by the committee and the fact that they want some monies to be retrieved.
Yes, and prosecutions also done, because I don't think just retrieving money is enough. Look, most of the things you read in a report borders on theft. So if there is theft, the one thing that bothers me in this country is that nobody seems to want to prosecute anybody. But we need to have these level of prosecutions, and some of the staff in BOST need to be sacked.
Mr. Hogley, how long have you worked with BOST?
Oh, we started operation from the beginning to now.
I'm sure you know some of the thieves and problems within the industry.
You see, in our industry, the problems, as I said already, there's a security cover in my department. We don't deal with the depot operations. We carry from this area and go here. When there's a loss, you are charged for it. That's the first agreement you must sign. Now, when I carry the product to here and there's a loss, I sign for it. When the other end, there are problems there, our drivers report and our drivers union, recently our drivers union chairman had gone all the way to Stadium, Kumasi for a week, discharging the trucks one by one and finding the troubles. They brought it to a meeting, they had a boss meeting with it, and you know, George is trying to find out where were the problems before there were problems in there. It means there were problems before he came. And the problems, he's trying to reduce them. Now, you can't just wake up and go and complain that, look, I am not doing this, I'm not doing that, because there's a queue. He had divided everybody in groups. This group will go today. If you go and then you show the product and if you don't find to pay, you sanction you. Some people have been even punished. Some people have gone there with empty trucks. He has punished them. Some people are there on suspension now. So, as my brother said, the game is being reduced one by one. When you go to a situation, I'm going to do all things today, maybe you'll be the wrong gear. But when you start changing the gears one by one, from first, second, third, then you know where you are going. But when you start, it is difficult in human life. But the laws are clear. I'm telling you, the laws are clear. Discharging and loading product, they are clear every country. From here to South Africa, the whole world, our laws are clear. Carry go. If you carry and then there's problem go with it, you pay me.
But issues of losses and contamination, are they issues we should be recording at this stage in our lives?
You know, contamination, I'll see that I've been doing this business for 44 years. When I say contamination, what was loaded in the vehicle? Was it checked? Did the person handle every document to the driver? Did he sign? If he signed, the driver signed, means everything is correct. So the driver has a responsibility. When you get to the other end, and then they go, the same system you started here to the end, you start the end there to the last. You check your car, check the product, see all the qualities of the product, and then they will now measure and see. If there's losses, you a driver yourself, you see that what I carried 10 when I came here, now it's 9. So how do I do? The 9 I'll pay. It is going against your car owner. But there's a temperature losses somewhere, where there's apparent losses, which is calculated in the thing, is 0.008%. When that thing happen, you are not charged, because it's like oil. When you buy oil in the market, you go and put it down, and it's strange, the bottle become 1/3. But when you heat it, it will come back to the same number. It also deals with temperature. We also deal with temperature. Sometimes they'll load you, your product height will be 30 degrees, and then you go to the end, like Kumasi and Takoradi. Kumasi is like this, around 26%. So 26 degrees. So it means there's a loss of 4 degrees. They will know what is the volume of that. And that volume, they will not debit you. Nobody will debit anybody. It's apparent loss. It doesn't mean it's missing. But it has constructed. So when
it's contracted.
So when the temperature comes again, it will come up again. That's how it does. So that's why they don't debit you. But when you do physical losses, when you say physical losses, maybe they've seen 300 losses, but the apparent loss is 10. So it means you're going to pay for the 290 liters. You're going to pay because it's physical. You have touched it. And the law rules around both the boss and all the OMCs the same.
But because you also talked about the issue of evaporation.
That's what I'm explaining. But you see, the depot operations are the depot. Sometimes the manual operators there, like boss like this, we have a Nigerian company who is managing some certain aspect of the product. So when he said they should also, if they have a losses, and why are they not there? Fine. There's a way for everybody's department. My department is I carry and I send it go. When I got there, I bought the product. So what I brought, this is it. You charge me and I pay. So you don't come back to tell me there's losses. But there will be a depot losses. That's about 0.35%. So there is 0.25%. It's there because of the temperature variation. So every depot in the world have some particular losses. It can't be 100%. For that one, it's sure. By 17, I've never heard it in my books. Maybe there's a fiscal losses that will raise the number up to 17 on one time, not every day. Maybe there's a one product that is missing deep, so that will hit the normal, the total volume, and increase the temperature. But it's not for a transporter for us to pay. It's the one who is handling it, he'll pay, because it's a contract. Handle it. If you don't handle, you pay. So losses in general is not a typical losses where a driver will go and touch the product to that degree. When a driver touches it, some drivers are wicked, they can steal the whole car. But insurance, that's why you have a good insurance to take care of it. You see, so losses generally is in the depot itself to that degree. Well, I've never come across it before. I work with the big companies as well. I've never come across it.
So we all acknowledge that there are challenges with BOST, and we need to address them head on. Do you see a solution in sight very soon?
Well, not very soon. Like my brother is giving us an insight to what Mr. Oakley is doing, whereby he is trying to take a gradual approach in getting some of these things done. Sometimes they're saying that tackle the bull by the horn, because you see what these losses are daily, and they are pertinent when it comes to the loss to the country, where every product that is coming in, BOST is supposed to be a strategic reserves, where strategic reserves are supposed to be for every 3 months before it is refreshed. So imagine that we are keeping products for 3 months for strategic reserve, and we are encountering such evaporation in their operations. It means that anytime we have strategic reserves, we now have to minus it by a certain factor, which is a problem. So that needs to be dealt with immediately. Products that are coming in and being used on the daily basis and being sent from depot to depot, that it might not affect it. But those that sit there for at least 3 months or more for strategic reserve purposes, then if they are applying that 17%, then it's quite high and it's a great loss to the nation.
Right, okay, quickly, let's just get to our second issue, which has to do with the International Monetary Fund. And we know the IMF has raised burning questions about some of the terms and conditions in government's $2 billion infrastructure for bauxite agreements with China's Sinohydro. Now, according to the International Monetary Fund, in its 7th and 8th review reports of the extended credit facility for Ghana, it says a deal will get a limitation on how government can exercise discretion over using its own resources. We'll bring you a report on that, and then I'll start off by taking Kojo Poku's reactions to this.
The Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation is required to set up an offshore escrow account for revenue generated from selling bauxite to secure the corporation's repayment to Sinohydro, with the provision that the funds will be for exclusive benefit of Sinohydro. At any time during the term, the escrow account is required to have amount sufficient to cover the upcoming 2 installments from the start of construction onward. This the IMF 7th and 8th review report of the extended credit facility for Ghana says will put a limitation on how government can exercise discretion over using its own resources. Nonetheless, committing future bauxite receivables to debt service and locking bauxite sales receipts in the escrow account limits the GOG's ability to exercise discretion of how the proceeds are allocated.
All right, so we'll quickly touch on this subject. So are we saying that proceeds from the sale of bauxite will be put in an escrow account? Is that so?
Well, that is what, see, look, it's a bit confusing when it comes to this transaction. Initially, the government said it wasn't a loan, but it was a swap where we are giving our bauxite
but the
to
IMF had agreed that with the government.
Well, yes, but if you also listen to the details and read the terms that went to Parliament and the utterances of government, it's a loan. But maybe it's not a loan. That's where it gets confusing. But let me say this. One of the good things with this facility is that, look, we have a natural reserve, which is in the ground. It is no good to you and I if it sits in the ground. If a company like Sinohydro with Chinese money can say that, look, okay, I am going to use my own money to dig the reserve from the ground. I'm going to add value. then I'm going to basically repay myself from the money I advance you, okay, to be able to now make good of what you have in the ground. In a way, it's good, because aside that, what else would we do? The bauxite sits in the ground.
But we'll wait till a day we can have the
day
resources
when?
to also...
As a country, we now have a big appetite for infrastructure projects. And our budget that we have now doesn't allow us... Look, I have a different approach. My approach is, let's do what we can now, gradually. We did that with oil. You know, we borrowed heavily between 2011 and 2014 against our oil proceeds. And now, by 2016 first quarter, the proceeds from oil was less than interest we're paying on the loans we have contracted.
Amazing.
So it tells you that we overextended ourselves with the oil. Maybe we are doing the same with the bauxite. But for me, the bauxite, my question that I have is that, what is the alternative? Bauxite industry, going from bauxite to alumina, is huge investment. The Chinese are the only ones who can help us do that.
You're suggesting that we do not have the luxury of an alternative when it comes to extraction of bauxite?
The money's involved, my brother. It would cost, if you want to do a full haul investment, which the government have said the Chinese are going to do, they are not going to take the bauxite out of the country as has been done in the past. They are going to excavate, mine it,
it's going to be an
integrated aluminium industry. Because what you see, the 2 billion that's been advanced is being given to government to undertake projects. Then there's another extra billions that's to come for the project itself. So they are going to now mine it, do integrated, do alumina, then maybe this company that we have, what's his name? Aluex, well, not Aluex, what's the other one? The one that Vaco will also benefit from that. So for me, if we could have alternatives, and some of us are speaking to big players in the industry in terms of what are the alternatives, in terms of if government don't go for Sino-Hydro, what are the alternatives?
And it's limited?
Very limited. My brother, not many companies can give you $2 billion.
Mr. You have a take on this matter?
Yeah, for me, my take is that, as my brother said, he said it's good. But anything that is good, behind it, there's something else. So you look behind. For me, I'll tell you one thing. Number one, I use the road to make my money. So any government to come and take the road as his best project, number one, he's going to reduce accidents. He's going to make industries travel within themselves faster. Production goes faster. Market should go faster. And then we upgrade movement to a successive level. You get me?
Right.
But here now, I'll give you an example. I left Suhum Technical in 1977. From Saum to Suhum, it's just 20-something miles. 40 years, Suhum to Accra is still half single road and half double road. 40 years. That means it's going to take us 200 years to reach Kumasi. To reach Ejisu.
Yes.
Because Ejisu to Kumasi is double road. How do you go to the two intercities and make the road design like that? Are you getting me? So for me, I am happy that that money is coming. But our engineers, if they apply from here to Suhum, they put asphalt, within another 3-4 months, they come and take the asphalt off again, peel it off again. It's just throwing money away. And the Chinese are there. They heap a heat on the road. As if you are driving at night, you don't know, you go and drive into it. You see, the best international road, that road, the money he makes for this country, is better, the airport doesn't come. But we are looking at it. And people are dying. We are killing 2,400 people on that road. And I tell you, last year alone, between Nkoko and Nsaum, 2,400 and something, 18 gone. Why? Because the road is not good. Accident died. Okay. So if government is bringing that money, I said, fine, welcome. I appreciate it a lot. But what the money will do, that's what brother is saying, what will the money do? Our engineers, our Ghanaian engineers, are they going to sit down only for Chinese engineers to do the work? Well, I'll plead to the government. Now look, let our Ghanaian engineers also be part of the business.
Yes.
They should see that one, so that when anything happens, we can question them. We drivers on the road who regard us, our certificate is common driver certificate, but we are the professionals on the road. Nobody says that this road we are going to do this road, is it going to kill you? This road, how do you think it should be done? Nobody will do that. But I will appreciate any government who is coming to do roads with money, not to borrow the money and the money go back to the same Chinese people and they take it. But if the money is coming to do the road, Kumasi, Tamale, all that area, they go to do the roads and do the road 5 hours. They can do everything with that money. If it's done properly, God bless them.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. J.K. Hogley, one of the actually the biggest oil transporter in Ghana at the moment, and Kojo Poku is an energy analyst helping us to dissect issues within the bulk oil and storage and transport company, as well as also giving us their own opinions on the IMF's reservations about the Sino-Hydro deal. You're still watching Business Focus, your most authoritative business and economic analysis program live here on TV3. We'll take a short break. When we return, tonight's on the Mover segment, call it food for the poor. I will tell you about this young entrepreneur who is making a lot of inroads in Ghana today. We'll be back shortly.
Considered as one of the most important staple foods in Ghana, Gari is made from cassava, which has over the years served as a good companion to student and a master food in homes. Demand for Gari has been greatly appreciable. You'll be marveled at how some people get their business ideas. And so we are here to meet 25-year-old Sandra Mewola, who just got a business idea after being part of a hometown's Gariza festival. So join me whilst we engage her. Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Grateful. 25-year-old Sandra Mewola, who hails from Ehi in the Volta region, nurtured the business idea after participating in a hometown's festival, Gariza, meaning Gari Festival.
The reason why it's not something they really talk about is because they do not have markets for it. So they go to the farm, do the Gari and everything, but they do not really have people coming all the way to buy it over there. So I said, okay, well, I slept over it, and as somebody would say, divine download. God gave me an idea as to how to take this to the next level.
Her quest to empower indigents in her hometown and add value to the staple food gave birth to the Gari Boutique.
You realize that a lot of people eat Gari every day, everywhere, in every home. Even for what we call rich, some of them even feed it to their pets at home. So Gari is eaten by almost everybody. And I felt that, okay, well, I can create employment for the people from my hometown. I can put the name of my hometown on the map of Ghana, and then we can take it to the next level. Gari should become one of the export commodities of Ghana.
For the business administration graduate, access to Gari was easy, but branding was what took much of her income when she was setting up.
Branding, as we all know in Ghana, takes a lot of capital. But I can give an estimate between about 4,000 cedis to 6,000 cedis, if I am not overestimating. That goes into branding. People undermine the impact of branding, but it goes a long way in selling your product for you. We call ourselves the Gari Boutique because now it is packaged and branded in a way that appeals to even people we call the rich in society. And I think one reason why it was looked down upon was because, or why people thought it was for the poor, because of how cheap it is and how easy it is to access. But then again, every rich person has started from somewhere before, and they've also eaten Gari before, or one way or the other come into contact with Gari before. So why not make it appealing in a more presentable way and attract the people who are now called the rich people?
But how easy or difficult is it starting up a business in Ghana?
It depends on where you are coming from, okay, and the amount of knowledge you have about the product you want to sell or whatever business you want to start. The saying goes that knowledge is power. If you know where to start from, if you know what to do and what not to do, I wouldn't say it's easy. It's not a bed of roses either, but then you just need knowledge on what you want to do.
The Gari Boutique sells packaged Gari soakings, which comes with sugar, powdered milk, granite, spoon, cup, ready to mix. flavored gari mixed with ginger, coconut, potato, also on sale.
The advantage with this one is it's not pre-mixed. You have a cup and a spoon in there where you have to mix your own quantities like you desire. So this pack goes for 5 cedis. So we have the 1 kg for the flavored gari going for 10 cedis. We have the 2 kg that goes for 18 cedis, and then the 3 kg goes for 25. That's for the flavored gari. Some people are not so open to the idea of flavored gari, so we still sell the regular gari too. For that one, the 1 kg goes for 5 cedis, and then we have 2 kg for 10 cedis and 3 kg for 15 cedis.
Admitting there are good and bad days, Sandra confirms having adequate knowledge in what you deal in will propel your business.
Basically, my friends, my family, the people I know from social media, the patronage has been good so far. There are good days and there are bad days for every business. But then for us, because you don't have to now go and sample for somebody to now taste to know what it is. Everybody knows what gari is. So you do not have to convince anybody to buy. Yes, so far the patronage has been good, I'd say.
For her part, Ghana has lots of resources she can boast of globally, something she aspires to do with the Gari Boutique. This is what she has for the youth.
Well, yes, they may say they are waiting on government, but then in the meantime, government is not feeding you. So what would you rather do? You'd still be going to church and praying to God for a miracle. Why not work with your hands? No matter how small it is, little drops of water definitely make a mighty ocean.
So it's time for me to have a feel of this meal. It's an old age meal, and with just a chilled bottle of water, I'm good to go. So join me as I unwrap the meal. Wow. I like the mixture. This is so nice. So if you ever thought gari was food for the poor, I think you should revise your note. And I'm really enjoying this meal, Gari Boutique. And so from Redco Flat here at Medina, George Queen, TV3.
Little drops of water make a mighty ocean indeed, and George is just enjoying. George, I really envy you. I wish I'd go on this trip with you one of these days. You're also watching the Business Focus, your monthly business, your weekly business program here on TV3, your weekly business and economic analysis program live here on TV3. That was a movie segment brought to you by George. We'll take a short break. We'll bring you the analysis and find out how the stocks have been faring and what to expect next week. All right, so you're welcome back to your most authoritative business and economic analysis program live here on TV3. This is Business Focus, and on the commodities market, we started from the Forex market, where the cedi has been relatively stable over the last few months. I guess government's own policies have made the cedi stable. I mean, you look at the cedi to dollar relationship and that of the cedi to the pound sterling, you can clearly see that it's been stable over the period. We've seen the inflows from the cocoa bond, which has come in to stabilize the local currency. We know that we've also gone out of the IMF program, and so all these have come in to essentially help stabilize the local currency. Also on the stock market has been that bearish over the last few months. I think 3 months or so, it's been quite bearish, and we've been witnessing this bearish nature for the past 3 months now. So that's where we end the Business Focus. Thanks very much for watching. This has been your weekly business program live here on TV3. Thanks so much for watching. Immense appreciation to my production team and to the cameraman. God willing, we'll see you same time next week. Take care and bye-bye.